Perfect. Welcome, APL Nation. This is Ruth Mayne, Corporate Director with APL Go, and I am so excited, as many of you know, to be here tonight sharing with Mary Esther Gilbert. She is beloved by us all. She is absolutely incredible. She has been in the health and wellness industry for over 40 years. If you haven't had a chance to meet with her and chat with her at one of the events or something, you need to do that. This woman is just a wealth of knowledge, and she has helped, I know, so many people on this call tonight. We are going to be talking tonight about one of my favorite products, and actually the very first product that I tried almost 3 years ago now, and that is STP, Stop. So take a moment, get out a piece of paper, get out a pen, write down some of the things that Mary Esther, because let me tell you, she drops gold nuggets all the time. I constantly am writing when she is talking. And I love the fact that this is recorded, because how many like me go back and listen to it over, and you're hitting stop, go, so that you can get all those golden nuggets. So without any further ado, because we have a huge list of questions tonight to get through and not a lot of time to do it in, let me bring up and introduce my friend, APL Go collaborator from Arizona, Mary Esther Gilbert. Everybody give her a virtual hand. Yay. Mary Esther, you want to say hi before we get started?
Absolutely. I'm dying to. Hey, everybody, how's it going? I hope you're not having 110-degree weather like I am here in Tucson, Arizona. But, we get used to it after a while, but still, it's kind of challenging sometimes. But anyhow, I'm happy to be here in my nice air-conditioned place. So hi, everyone.
Amen for air conditioning. That's all I got to say. Well, let's just dive right in, because we do have a lot of questions to get through tonight. When I sent the list of questions to Mary Esther and we collaborated on them, we both agreed that there are some really good questions that are going to really dive in and give you guys some really good information. And I want to start with asking Mary Esther to go through what is the root cause of pain, because that's what we're going to be talking about tonight in not large, but in a big way, because that's what STP relates to. So Mary Esther, why don't we start with that? Let's talk about the root cause of pain.
Hey, great. I'll be sharing a photograph in a moment. First, I just want to let everyone know that pain is always associated with inflammation. And, anywhere where there's injury, whether it's inside the body or outside the body, is going to have a chain reaction of biochemicals the body produces to let you know something is wrong in the form of pain. So whenever something is swollen, and of course, that's going to cause you some stiffness and sometimes some pain, or if something is really damaged inside the body and you're experiencing like stomach pains and heart, palpitations and dizziness and all sorts of things, right? These are all inflammatory reactions that the immune system just goes right to work in to let you know something is wrong. So I'm going to show you ways to prevent all of that, so you never have to experience any kind of pain or inflammation unless there's an exogenous, something hits you, you bump into a wall and that hurts, and you're swollen and that kind of thing. And God forbid any kind of other worse injury than that. Then of course the body goes into equal mode into repairing everything like that too. All right. So that's basically what it is. So, like I said, it can originate at the micro level, endogenously within a system, as much as exogenously outside the system. And like I said, a cascade of communication events involving the sensory brain and nervous systems alert systems, that something is going terribly wrong in there. And sometimes it's pretty subtle. You don't really notice it too much until the problem gets worse and worse. So when a problem is going on at the cell level, it's going to affect trillions of cells. And when it gets to a certain level, then it's going to start signaling worse and worse symptoms. So this is why we are here. We're here to learn how to either reverse that problem or just completely avoid it altogether. So, and it also, triggers the body's defense mechanisms like the immune system. And that's always involved with the endocrine or hormonal system and the nervous system. They all work together to let you know something is wrong. And it's always in the form of pain or other symptoms. So, that repair process is the more you progress in your healing process, then the less you're going to feel the inflammation and the pain. So things like, let's see, alcohol, smoking, the eating the wrong fats, the trans fats, the ones that are heated, chemically altered, chemical additives, synthetic toxic ingredients, the refined processed foodstuffs, cosmetics, synthetic ingredients in those, and body care products, household cleaners, industrial chemicals, pollutants, drug side effects. All these adversely are affecting the system's normal processes, and they cause inflammation. So you've got the body working vigorously trying to get rid of all of these toxins that cause this inflammatory problem and are affecting your hormones and are affecting your brain and your nervous system. So real quick, in order to wrap up this question, let me show you this. I'm going to share screen real quick here, and I'll show you this photograph. I think it's a really great example of what happens when let's say you step on a nail and it goes through several layers of your skin. Can everybody see this, by the way?
Yep.
Okay. And so when you look at what's happening at the micro scale, it's going to hit a nerve. In this area here, you've got nerves everywhere. And so the neural pathway sends an electrical impulse, back and forth from the injured area to the brain and the nervous system. So it's going to affect the surrounding tissues. In this case, it's a muscle fiber. And so as you can see, there are other neural pathways that are connected to all the different systems in the body. So we've got multiple trillions of neural connections going on all the time, letting us know what's going on. So that I just wanted to share that really quick. I'll give it back to you here.
That's wonderful. Now, since we don't have 100% control over injuries and inflammation through overexertion and things like that, tonight we're digging into one of my favorite products, STP. What is your opinion on using STP for minor aches and pains, say over Tylenol or aspirin or ibuprofen, things like that?
I love that question. I'm going to have to be very careful in how I answer it here.
I know.
If we were in a private conversation, I'd be saying a lot more. But anyhow, just to protect the company, so we've got nutrient factors in the botanicals in the STP to go to work immediately to repair the damage that causes all this pain and inflammation. And whereas the OTCs, the over-the-counter medications, they actually turn off the pain detector sites on the cell membrane surfaces. They don't do any healing, really. They just turn off our recognition or our system's communication network to let us know something is wrong. So if you've got a headache or you've got other problems that you're in pain for, and you take an OTC, there's no nourishing or healing effect happening. It's just turning off the pain mechanisms. So by doing that, they act on the brain cell receptors that control the pain and body temperature. They force the body to generate fewer hormones produced under inflammatory conditions like the prostaglandins. Those are proteins that the body produces whenever there's swelling or any kind of inflammatory reaction, just to let you know, just to let the system know how to react to any kind of injury. They're not always necessarily a good thing either, because sometimes the immune system is affected by these OTCs, so it can't even recognize what to do. So some of the side effects, I always look up side effects of medications, and you can always do this on medline.net or .org. I forget what the suffix is. But for as far as Tylenol, aspirin, ibuprofen, and all those other OTCs, they're all considered to be anti-inflammatory drugs. And so just do a search online on the phrase side effects of OTC pain relievers. And oh my goodness, you are going to get so much information as far as what is already known out there. It's no secret. So there's generally two types: acetaminophen, like the ibuprofen, the naproxen, aspirin, and the ketoprofen, and the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory NSAIDs pain meds. So the NSAIDs turn off the body's response to pain, and that's caused by swelling like menstrual cramps, sore throat, muscle sprains, anything that causes the immune system to come in and bring more water and nutrients to the area to start the healing process. So that's the swelling that happens. The acetaminophen does not act on inflammation. It turns off pain detectors. that result from like headaches or arthritis or any other, serious damage like that. But the thing is, NSAIDs can cause stomach bleeding, liver, and kidney failure. Now that's pretty blatant out there. That information is no secret. So on the PDF document that I'll be posting is the link to a very good article that will discuss this further for us.
And every time I was guilty of this in the past too, especially ladies during our cycle, especially in our younger years, when you may not be as keenly aware. How many of you pop 3 and 4 Midol or Pamprin or something at a time? And we don't understand what that's doing to our liver. And it doesn't really, I mean, yes, it temporarily shuts off the pain mechanism, as Mary Esther was saying, but that's all it's doing. And I know some of you are thinking, yeah, but that's how I get through the day. I get it. But tonight you've got another option. Now with that, Mary Esther, before we go into depth on the ingredients in STP and why they work so cohesively together, I noticed that many times in all of our products, we use the root of many of these botanicals. Can you explain the reasoning behind that for all of us?
Yes, when I looked at these formulations years ago and I noticed they were using the roots, I was really impressed. Other formulations used, the more regenerative type of product in the plant. They use the leaves and the stems, things that will keep growing above the ground. But the roots are the most valuable because once you take the root out, then you remove it from its nutrient source, and all those nutrients that are concentrated in the roots, you cannot replace that unless you cut the root and use part of it, and put it back in the soil. Then it'll form another root, system, and it'll keep growing. But if you pull out the whole plant, you're just, it's a one-time, valuable thing. So this is really important when you're considering the optimal potencies and the optimal efficacy of any kind of supplement. So this is why I was really impressed with the drops. So the roots contain the highest concentrations of phytochemicals that are formed from the uptake of essential minerals from the soil, including the nitrogen and the phosphorus that are sequestered from the atmosphere into the soil by bacteria. So the plants sequester carbon dioxide from the air, and they use the soil nitrogen, and they receive the hydrogen via the photosynthesis process using the sun, that forms the carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen molecules like the carbohydrates and the fats. And they obtain the oxygen via the conversion of carbon dioxide to carbon and oxygen. So all this process has to be present in order for the root systems to absorb as many of the minerals and all the other, the water and the right form of electrolytes, all these systems to form the phytochemical compounds that are so impressive in these drops. So, we using the root is really stellar as far as I'm concerned. And then along with the full range and concentration of mineral-rich soil, all these elements, that's how you build the nutrient-dense soil that nourishes these plants. And so when they're harvested by the way, the fall is the best season to harvest root systems because once the plant starts becoming dormant and it's no longer feeding the leaves and the stems and the wooded areas above the ground, then it can concentrate on just gathering its nutrients over the winter, so that in the spring it's exploding with life again. Right? We've all seen that wonderful process. That's the very important thing about that I've noticed about the roots in these botanicals.
So what you're basically saying in layman's terms is that Sergey and the scientists at APL Go did not go the cheaper route, the easier route with the stems and the leaves and the byproducts. They really honed in on the best possible outcome using the best possible ingredients and the parts of the plant that are the best.
Yeah, from start to finish, the drops are very impressive because the main thing to do when you're producing a viable supplement such as the APL Go drops, then it's important to retain those nutrients throughout the whole process. And that means starting from the soil and growing high potency plants and then, processing them and preserving all those nutrients all the way to the very end product. So yes,
Very cool. All right, let's start on ingredients. And ashwagandha is the first one. Ashwagandha, for those of you that don't know, has been used for over 3,000 years. It has so many benefits, and I know it's an adaptogen as well. Can you explain what that means to people, adaptogen, and then spend a few minutes on the many other benefits of just this one ingredient, ashwagandha?
Oh yeah. I just love all of these ingredients. I can't say enough about them, and it's really hard for me to summarize. So if you want more information, you'll find it in my book. And also, by the way, if you get the book, look at the scientific data. You'll learn so much more about how your body works because you'll see how the researchers conduct their experiments, and they have to describe the process of their outcomes. So they're looking at how the body reacts to nutrients. And so, there's thousands, literally thousands of studies out there. And thank goodness for peer-reviewed studies because these experts gather all those thousands of studies and put them together and summarize it in more or less layperson's terms. But they also have little links throughout their text that you can go to every single one of these studies that they have gathered together. So I just wanted to say that real quick. Um, but yeah, an adaptogen is when the chemical constituents like the ashwagandha root, they help the body better respond to stress. Anything that helps your body better respond to stress, whether you're highly nourished or you're biochemically balanced, and all that is because of nourishment. Nothing happens in the body and not very many things can go wrong in the body as long as the stuff that we're made of, all those nutrient factors are present in the body. They have to be present in the food we eat or we die. We just shrivel up and degenerate and get worse and worse and worse. So that's why when you see all these degenerative health problems and you look at what these people are eating or are being exposed to as far as toxic chemicals in their environment, whether it's inside the body or whether they're inhaling them or they're drinking it or whatever, over time, the body becomes very toxic and it disrupts all of these multiple trillions of biological processes that are happening in the body all of the time. So yeah, that's what an adaptogen does. It just helps you be more nourished and be more better able to respond to stress. So, and the reason for this is because of the alkaloids that the steroidal lactones, the saponins, all of these wonderful phytochemical compounds, they work on ensuring the calmer reactions to stress, and they modulate the immune responses and the nerve transmissions, excitability. So when you're under stress, your nervous system thinks it's in do or die situation. So it just infuses the body with all of these chemicals that make you respond, so it's like the fight or flight reaction. But if you are under this kind of fight or flight reaction with all these biochemicals that are helping you to just, fly away and run away from danger or just control your anger. So that's also another fight or flight response where you're trying to control your emotions and your anger in stressful situations and try to think logically. All that is going on underneath the surface. So it's very, very explosive in there. So yeah, and these adaptogens, they really do help to calm the nervous system down because they're nourishing. They're not drug responses. They don't turn off your emotions. They don't turn anything off. They actually help your system respond more calmly, more logically, and just have better cognizance in situations. So the bitter compounds are shown to relieve fever, like painful swellings, and the astringent compounds. So these are different names that the holistic community has always named these different types of compounds in plants. So those bitter compounds are known to relieve the fever and painful swellings. And the astringent compounds, they constrict the cells of the various body tissues so that you don't have the swelling as much, but at the same time, they're nourishing and they're repairing at the DNA level. That's what's so wonderful about phytochemical compounds. They're different than the drugs. They actually nourish and restore normal functioning at the microcell level so that, you don't have to respond in such an emotional or just uncomfortable manner to stress. And they also contain depurative compounds that help purify the blood and the bile, and they clear the phlegm. And also, it's found to stimulate the production of sperm, increasing the sperm count. I mean, there's so many different biochemicals in these botanicals that they do different things in the body. They address different systems. They have a calming effect on the phytochemical compounds that are found to help improve memory loss. They help prevent loss of consciousness, like fainting. They help prevent that, because when you're faint, that means there's not enough proper blood flow to the brain. You're not getting enough oxygen. There's the GABA mimetic or cognition promoting effect that supports the formation of new dendrites in the neural pathway extensions of the nerve cells. So you've got all these little dendrites that are sticking out of the nerve cells. And so those are the terminals that help your nerve cells communicate with each other. So you've got electrical impulses going on all over the body. We are light energy, biological, cellular packs in motion. We've got in electrical terms, we've got voltage, and so that's why sometimes on a very high static day, if you touch metal, you get electrified, because we're conductors of electricity. So that electricity is constantly flowing all throughout the body. But those very, neural pathways in those dendrites and those nerve cell communications, those are what are helpful with memory. And so these kinds of compounds will help prevent any kind of memory deficit and any neurodegenerative diseases.
So that's why ashwagandha is in so many of our products, because it's
this is barely touching the surface of what these plants do. It's so frustrating.
I know, sometimes it really is. Before we started, I was like, okay, we have about 3 minutes on each question, and that's all. And
I know.
Honestly, we could talk for 300 minutes on each question. Let's get to turmeric root. Again, used for centuries. Most people are aware of its anti-inflammation properties. Also, the inability for it to be absorbed easily, especially in capsules. But there's so much more to this spice, because that's what it is. And I had no idea, and a lot of people are probably going to be shocked here tonight, that it's actually part of the ginger family. It seems that this also has been used in Ayurvedic medicine for a host of things. Can you kind of go over the benefits of that in STP?
Oh, yeah. By the way, the correct pronunciation, everybody write this down phonetically if you have to. The right pronunciation for this root is called turmeric, not turmeric. Everybody says turmeric or turmeric. Okay,
Turmeric.
But put that R in there, please. I mean, I've double checked myself many, many times. Everybody say it with me. Ready? Turmeric. I was kidding. So anyhow, yeah. So the turmeric root, it's part of a family of about 120 different species, but the curcuma longa, which is used in the drops, is the most widely known. And this root dates back 5,000 years in Ayurvedic medicine, medicine that comes from India, the medical alternative, holistic medical system that was born in India. So it goes back 5,000 years. And then in the Athar Veda, which is from the Vedic scriptures of Hinduism, they've documented turmeric use going back 2,000 years. So its most active curcuminoid, the phytochemical compound called, the classification of curcuminoids is curcumin. And that was first isolated in 1812. And its purified crystalline compound was announced back in 1870. So science has been at work way back when, evaluating the compounds in this root, as in the other botanicals as well. But Western scientific research began studies on turmeric in the 1970s, and it still continues today. I'm always uncovering more and more research on the turmeric. So the class of phytochemical compounds that it contains in the roots and the rhizomes, which they look kind of like roots, but they tend to stick out of the soil more. So those are the concentrations of nutrients. They contain the active curcuminoids and the sesquiterpenoids found in the roots, in the volatile oils. So most plant fluids, when you concentrate those plant fluids, they're known as essential oils. So the essential oils in the turmeric are because of these plant compounds. And then as a result of peer-reviewed studies, the many compounds have been shown to exhibit all kinds of properties. They help attenuate inflammation, any kind of inflammatory response, which involves the nervous system, the hormonal system, and the immune system. They prevent the abnormal cell growth and proliferation of, just abnormal cells forming. It could be cancer, it could be, malignant or not, They help regulate blood sugar levels. All these different compounds work in synergy in this wonderful root, and they help cholesterol properly maintain. Like the cholesterol is used to maintain cell structures, the pliability, so that they're not easily damaged. So people are afraid of cholesterol. Well, just as long as it's in balance in your diet and you're eating the right types of fats, both from plant and animal fats, and you're going to have healthy, pliable, strong cell structures. So this way you're able to maintain proper blood levels and proper blood pressure, and you won't bruise easily if you bump into a wall. You don't get that bump on the head we talked about earlier. Um, and also, it helps prevent blood vessel damage because of that resiliency, that flexibility. And also, it's known to dissolve obstructive clots. So, of course, when you're damaged on the outside, you get a scab, and those are the clots forming until the cells regenerate themselves and you're healed. But if it happens inside a blood vessel, it's going to obstruct the circulatory system. And if the clot is big enough, or if it breaks loose, then it's going to land somewhere that severely limits blood flow, and that will lead to heart attack, strokes, kind of thing. So all these other phytochemicals, they help cleanse the liver, and they carry away all these toxic accumulations that we're exposed to all the time. And it helps control gastric upsets and destroy microorganisms that cause diarrhea. And also, one great little tidbit I had to throw in was the antidote for venom. So apparently, if you get bitten by a venomous spider, or maybe even a snake, I don't know, you might want to have turmeric root on hand until you get medical help.
That blew me away just as much as the next ingredient, grapple plant root. This is on page 119 of her book. For those of you that have the book, I strongly suggest you go read about it because I was astonished. In Europe, there have actually been studies done in relation to this helping with tons of issues. One that caught my eye is degenerative joint and tendonitis. Can you go into detail about this? And maybe even more impressive are some of the other things that grapple addresses, and feel free to elaborate, because this, I think, is an understated ingredient in stop that many of us have just bypassed because a lot of us have never heard of it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Okay. So those phytochemicals that we've been talking about tonight, I'm focusing on phytochemical compounds because to me they're the gist of what makes a plant so amazing. So the grapple plant root, also known as Harpagophytum procumbens, um, it has many anti-inflammatory, anti-degenerative effects on our human cells. In other words, it will not allow the cell to break down prematurely and be subject to damage. And so that the immune system doesn't come in and just eat it up and dissipate it and send it off to be expelled from the body in one form or another. But you want your cells to have their life, their normal lifespan, so that they can function and keep you optimally functioning. So there's so many different anti-inflammatory compounds and so many different compounds that help maintain the cells. So the compounds I'm talking about are the iridoid glycosides, and there's so many of them, but there's three of them that I especially picked out. If I could just slow down enough, harpagoside, harpagide, and phenylpropanoid glycosides. Okay, so yeah, they're mouthfuls. Even if you practiced and you've seen them before, it's still really hard to just say it really fast. But they actually help improve the body's pain and inflammation detection systems they nourish and correct all the cell functions, the human to plant cell DNA information that we've talked about before, where there's communication between the DNAs of plant cells and our human cells to replenish and repair a lot of the DNA sequences, so that restores the optimal functioning of our cells. And in that healing process, I call it a healing process, because what else can you call it when something is being replaced, where something is damaged and it's being identified and it's being fixed by the correct sequences of genes of the information that runs the whole body, right? All the instructions for running the entire system. So by doing so, it halts the pain-causing degenerative actions of pro-inflammatory biomarkers. And these are proteins that detect inflammation, like C-reactive protein. And the body produces all kinds of proteins when it's under a lot of stress like that. We've all heard of the cytokine storms and things like that. And there's really thousands of inflammatory proteins, the cyclooxygenase 1 and 2, all those COX 1 and 2 inflammatory markers as well. By biomarkers, I mean when you go in to have, say, blood work done, and they detect all of these different things that are in the blood, like enzymes that should or should not be there, or levels of them, all these different types of proteins that are present in the blood or in the urine, that kind of thing. So you want to make sure that we are arresting the inflammatory process by this optimal cell nourishment, right?
Perfect. And I'm sensing a theme here with anti-inflammation. That leads us to ginger root. Now, if anyone on this call knows anyone or has problems with peptic ulcers, listen up. I was actually shocked at this one too. Ginger has a ton of health benefits. I think that's pretty widely known. And it's one of our main ingredients in STP. Can you go through some of what you feel are the important reasons for ginger in not only stop, but some of our other ones as well?
Yeah, ginger has its, specific compounds as well. And you'll find some of these compounds in other botanicals, but it's the combination of those compounds and their synergistic applications, when you take in the individual plants is what's their strong point. They might have similar phytochemicals, but there's classes within classes within classes of these different classifications of phytochemical compounds in these different botanicals. So you're not really going to run into identical situations. So it's great to have a variety of these different types of botanicals. Okay. So ginger root is high in silica, and that's a mineral that's found in the matrices of the body's tissues, bones, tendons, the aorta, the kidneys, the liver, the hair, skin, and your nails all contain silica. And so when these systems are breaking down, not only are you probably low in silica, but the whole gamut of synergistic minerals and vitamins and water content, the right types of proteins, fats, and carbs, all that has to be put together so that your system can keep going optimally. So it'll keep going for a long time because you've got plenty of reserves in there. You can take silica out of your bones and tendons, and God forbid not your aorta, or your liver or your hair or skin. All those things tend to suffer when you're low in this mineral and, of course, other nutrients. So yeah, I mean, that's what's great about ginger root. It's high in silica. And also it contains all these different types of fatty acids that are so important for building healthy cells, build healthy skin, healthy blood vessels, all these different things that fatty acids do, and also coat the nerve cells so that they function properly. Once you eat the wrong fats or don't have enough of the right fats in your diet, your nerve cells will start to deteriorate, and that can contribute toward, memory problems and dementia eventually. So ginger has the linoleic acid, which is an omega-6, and oleic acid, which is the omega-9, and which the body needs for the cell membranes, and the brain and nerve cells, like I just said. But also it's important to include foods that are high in omega-3s. But the research that I came up with showed that it was high in omega-6s and 9s. But you can always add other high foods that are high in omega-3s. So the right balance of 3 to 6 to 9 should be at least twice as many omega-3s in your diet as you're eating in the form of omega-6s and omega-9s. So yeah, it's just they're all necessary and they're all needed, but it has to be in the right balance.
So
So another, go ahead.
would it be correct to say then that one of the reasons licorice root is in STP, what I heard you said is it helps coat, not licorice root, ginger root, it helps coat the nerves, which is going to stop the pain because the nerve is under attack basically, and that's what causes our pain because of the inflammation. So the ginger root actually helps with that.
Yes, when your nervous system is malnourished and the nerve cells coatings are being destroyed and the whole nerve cell is being, just gotten rid of by the immune system, it detects that it's not a functioning cell, so it gets rid of it that way. Then you're going, if it happens, if it keeps going on over time, you're going to start experiencing that burning sensation in your body, especially like in the limbs, arms and legs. You're going to feel this burning sensation. So a lot of times that is associated with nerve degeneration. So the fats, animal fats and plant fats in the right balance should be 50-50, and you take the fats and you take that and you put it, like a pie, if you have a plate of food, then of course the fats are going to be a smaller amount, in your foods. And sometimes they're hidden in foods. So you have to consider that too. But fat should be in the right proportions to the proteins and whole food carbohydrates. So once you nourish your nerve cells, you reduce so much inflammation in the body because the nerves are everywhere. They're trying to communicate, and so many communications are lost. They can't be completed. If you have to go from point A to point B in the body, it's going to lose contact somewhere. It could be like, what was I going to say, kind of thing, or memory loss, that happens more and more as time progresses, or pain, more and more pain. Some people who try to exercise, then the inflammation occurs in the muscles. And so, those nerves are trying to create a neural pathway to improve the functioning of your muscles when you exercise. But if you're not eating the right fats or the right types of compounds, like say in the ginger root, then you're going to experience more pain than recuperation and, becoming stronger as you progress through your exercise programs. So nutrition is extremely important when you're exercising. And then also the ginger has compounds that strengthen the immune system. So they detect and destroy pathogenic organisms along with the nervous system. So this communication is going on constantly all the time with these phytochemical compounds in these plants. They're active, viable, living, plants that react to stimuli, and they communicate. They know how to communicate with our DNA. So all of this is going on. Meanwhile, it's destroying pathogenic organisms, with the immune system detections going on. And if all of these things are overwhelming the body, there's going to be rampant inflammation and rampant pain. So always associate that with pain, inflammations. It just goes hand in hand.
It sounds like STP should be a product that most people are going to want to use in everyday life, by what you're saying, because even exercise causes inflammation. And then, when you're working out in the garden, or like I got bit by a spider the other day, things happen all the time that cause inflammation. And it sounds like in the neural pathways, it actually causes a traffic jam. So getting that inflammation under control with something like STOP would benefit everybody continuously.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. You want to stop those traffic jams, swelling, any kind of inflammation where it just obstructs things, the flow of the blood and the oxygenation and the flow of nutrients to the cells. Yeah, you're going to have some stoppages there. So, when your body's trying to do some kind of biochemical or biological process, whether it's grow new skin or just, digest food or anything that goes on in the body, if the nutrients are missing, then it will have to stop and halt that process and go on and try to find a resource in the body, breaking down blood vessels, breaking down tissues to try to form the molecules necessary that are abundant in plants, that already there. So might as well take the plants rather than make your body go through the work and actually end up in a net loss of your health, of your healthy tissues, your healthy cells in the body. But one thing that the ginger does have is a compound called asparagine. It's a component of thousands of critical proteins, that the body makes. So it contains anti-tumoral ginsenosides and saponins that are known to cause cancer cell self-destruction or apoptosis. So I'm just skimming the surface here. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
No, that is very interesting when I read that too. And I know we're starting to get short on time. Let's see if we can get through the rest of these questions. There's only a few more. Licorice root. Licorice root has a plethora of health benefits. I didn't know that it also helps coughing and phlegm. So the next time, guys, you have some kind of phlegm or coughing bout, think of STP because of the licorice root. Mary Esther, what do you say about that?
Oh yeah, it's those awesome saponin compounds. They actually destroy the viruses. Anytime your body has to deal with any kind of microbial infection, it could be the viruses or the bacteria or the parasites or the fungi, then the body produces phlegm or mucus. We have mucous membranes all over the body. It's in the stomach, it's in the mouth, it's in the nose, it's in the eyes. It's in annoying places, but in the tissues too, in the interstitial tissues. So the mucus that's formed is kind of important because it helps carry away or isolate all these different things that are causing the inflammation. But licorice root comes riding in and not only destroys the causes of the phlegm or the mucus, it also dissipates it so that it turns it into a carbohydrate. I always thought that was really weird in chemistry class when we had to analyze body fluids, and I was like gagging the whole time. But under a microscope, they're actually beautiful crystalline structures that are carbohydrate in nature. So anyhow, it serves a purpose. I know it's gross. Who likes it, right? But it's necessary. So if you're producing a lot of it, then go to the STP or any of the other drops that contain such an anti-inflammatory mucus destroying phytochemical compounds, and just keep that in your diet every day. Like you said, why not take these wonderful foods every day? They're not drugs. Our bodies are going to use them to the fullest extent, kind of thing.
Amen.
Okay. So I know I'm talking so fast because I'm aware of our time too, but I wanted to talk more about the saponins, if you don't mind.
Go right ahead.
So, like I said, they destroy viruses like all these influenza viruses, enterovirus, herpes simplex type 1 virus, rotavirus, and syncytial virus, and others that we won't name here. So other compounds are the triterpenes, and they work similarly to the saponins, and they're found to also inhibit all these viruses, and they help destroy the virus's ability to proliferate, to replicate, So yeah, and also they prevent the integration of the virus into our DNA. That's what viruses do. They love to integrate themselves into our DNA. And once they become part of our DNA, it's really hard to get rid of them. Some experts have said that once they're there, they're in there forever. I don't think so. They're not part of our DNA. Our DNA knows the difference, and it needs the extra boost power to stimulate the T lymphocytes, immune cells, to go in there and just destroy them. So they will destroy our own cells if it contains the virus, and why not? If you're well nourished, your cells will replicate, and you can keep going on, and become even healthier. But the infections cause the body to produce mucus, like I said, and phlegm, and depending on the localized area. So the phytochemical compounds, like I said, they dissolve and destroy all those causes. It's also an antibacterial. It destroys the methicillin-resistant strains. So if you have taken methicillin before and it didn't do any good, then know that there are these even more massively complex phytochemical compounds in plants that will go in and destroy the bacteria. And then one more thing, the phytochemical compound called licoritiginin detoxifies the body of toxins that's released by illness-causing bacteria. So I don't know if people know this, but bacteria releases all these different toxins that will make you even more sick. So yeah, there's exotoxin that's released by the Staph aureus, staph bacteria as well. So it's a pretty good little hero, this licorice root.
Yes, it sounds like it. I'm going to skip the cherry and the raspberry because I want to get to the last couple questions. And I know we're running out of time here, and there's a couple good questions in the chat. Cayenne pepper. I had no clue that this was well known for relieving chronic and acute pain. Did anybody else on here know that? I mean, I'd be eating more cayenne pepper. So Mary Esther, as we start to wrap up here, talk about cayenne. I mean, who knew?
Well, I'm very fortunate. It's part of my heritage, Spanish heritage. So there's always cayenne pepper or any pepper, hot pepper in my diet every day, especially after a workout. Like you said, going to the gym, and you kind of tear down a little bit of your muscle fibers by pushing yourself, but knowing that when you nutritionally replenish and rehydrate, your body responds by getting stronger than before. So the cayenne pepper is stellar as far as reducing the inflammation that you feel after a hard workout. I go to the gym, like, okay, gung ho, that I'm going to work out. But when I finish working out, I kind of drag my feet back to the car and finish hydrating and get myself home so that I can replenish, and knowing that it's making me stronger, right? So cayenne pepper contains a phytochemical called capsaicin. You might have seen this ingredient in different supplements. And these are known to stimulate the endorphin production. So these are a group of hormones known to result in feelings of euphoria, which have an analgesic or pain reducing effect. If you're a long distance runner, I remember once you kick in, I used to do 10Ks all the time. Once you kick in past a certain point, you feel like you can run forever, and so you feel no pain, you feel this wonderful high. It's because of the endorphins that have kicked in. So these are produced by the brain's glands, the hypothalamus and the pituitary, in response to stress or pain. So your body will produce its own endorphins if you're, a certain level of pain. So the capsaicin has exhibited the potential to modulate the body's metabolism by activation of cell receptor sites in the body's tissues, in the body's cells, that also activate antioxidant enzymes while inhibiting pro-inflammatory proteins. So all those inflammatory proteins, capsaicin is the one that will stop that. So it's very good anti-inflammatory. And it also helps the body utilize fats for energy production. It will utilize fats over carbohydrates, which is really hard to do unless you're in the fat burning aerobic process. Capsaicin will go in there and utilize the fats first. So it's great for maintaining your body fat, content. And also compounds called the capsaicinoids are effective, and they destroy all these common illness-causing bacteria like E. coli, Salmonella, Pseudomonas, Staph aureus, Helicobacter pylori, which causes the boring into the stomach tissues and causes they're the root cause of the when someone's got extreme pain. I can't think of the term right now. You mentioned it earlier. I don't know why
Acute
it
or
escapes
chronic?
me.
Acute?
No, when someone has an illness in the stomach, extremely painful. Gosh, I can't believe it. But anyhow, that causes that problem.
Gotcha.
Listeria, and also the toxin associated with cholera, so it does all kinds of stuff, but those are just a few of the high points.
You said something about
Also,
the cayenne pepper goes in and helps your body utilize fat storage before carbs. Everybody is now going to be taking STP before they
no kidding.
eat.
You'll see it in some of the fat loss products. Gosh, I had it and then I forgot it again.
Ulcers, yes.
Ulcers. Yeah, that's the culprit for ulcers.
Now
So
for
yeah,
the big question of the night.
okay.
This always comes up and we never get to it. That's why I wanted to get to it tonight. What is it about the blend of ingredients in STP and all our lozenges that work so well? And I know that's a broad question, but it's one that gets asked by people all the time.
Yay, I like this question a lot. And okay, it's because of all those phytochemical compounds. They all act together, and your body has this heyday of choices for doing all these repairs, and to tone down inflammatory responses if it needs to, in order to, sometimes it cannot repair anything if all of these inflammatory proteins keep coming in and creating more havoc and more inflammation. So nourishing the immune system and the nervous system and the hormonal system, they all work together to maintain this homeostasis that everybody is so desperate for. And I love this scientific article. I kind of borrowed it. So they show all the different synergistic anti-inflammatory mechanisms of all these different phytochemicals. And this is just a very simple diagram of two phytochemicals, A and B, and they take you through when you enhance the bioavailability, you're taking it in through the digestive tract, right? And so it's absorbing everything, goes through the blood vessels, and it ends up at the cell tissues. And it just keeps going, and it improves all of these different biochemical reactions, including the reactive oxygen species that are really great for increasing antioxidant capacity that the body makes. Sometimes the body does make its own antioxidants, but so then on the side here, you'll see that it enhances bioavailability, interacts with the microbiome in the gut, good bacteria to create that good environment in the colon, and increases the antioxidant capacity of the body. And it targets the same cell signaling pathways, but it also goes on to other body systems in the body to target different cells that are signaling to each other as well.
Wow. And as to stop STP, what we're always talking about what lozenges to pair with what to enhance the function of the lozenges. And I know, for instance, when I first started with this, I looked at the products and kind of summarized what I needed. And stop was one of them, and slide and relax. And my theory behind it was, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is STP is going to help with the pain. Slide is going to help the joints because I got hit by a U-Haul truck and that wiped out my knee. And the relax was going to help the muscles and me relax so that the others could do their job. Because when your muscles are constricted, no oxygen gets in. And when no oxygen gets in, repair can't be done and inflammation, and it becomes a vicious cycle. So can you talk a little bit about how they work synergistically together? And is that a good pairing, stop with slide and relax, or are there some others that might be better?
Yeah, that's a good combination, especially if you're under a lot of stress. We want to be able to relax and allow the body to stop producing stress chemicals long enough to do much more of the repairs. And of course, all the different botanicals in every single one of these, drops are always going to contribute to the repair process. But I would think that the GRW and the SLD, of course, like you said, and the HPR and the HRT and the MLS, that's always my, go-to general favorite
Yeah.
to just it's a pan-systemic, just addresses all the body systems. But those others that I mentioned, they also contribute to the reducing the inflammation and the repair process in their own way, their own specific ways. So yeah, I would like to see what happens if people were to pair those with that.
Well, you can bet that we're going to have some people do that. Now, we have a question from the gallery, and this came in from Joey. And he said, I thought if you have high blood pressure, you shouldn't consume licorice. So what are your thoughts for people that have high blood pressure? I think I know the answer, but tell us, is it safe for people with high blood pressure to still consume stop, even though it has licorice in it?
Okay, so the components in isolated licorice root, some of them have been known to cause high blood pressure or result in or to be not a direct cause, but a contributing factor. A lot of things contribute to high blood pressure. If someone is going to be really sensitive to one compound in a plant, then that says something about your diet, your lifestyle, your level of stress. All those factors have to be considered. So the licorice root is a whole, plant compound, many, many compounds that help balance out any kind of effects that would affect the blood pressure. So many of these compounds help regulate the kidneys and the kidneys are the ones that regulate blood pressure. So if you're having blood pressure problems, I would address the health of your kidney and make sure that you're drinking enough water and your potassium sodium levels are balanced. You're not oversalting your food, or some people don't realize how much salt they're taking in if they're not reading the ingredients in their packaged foods, or just in general how much sodium they're taking in. So balancing not just the potassium and the sodium, but balancing the other minerals as well. They contribute a lot toward the cell water coming in and outside of the cell and in between the cells in the interstitial tissues. All that can if you're low in protein, also if you're not eating enough protein, then you're going to be retaining more water. So there's a lot of things at play that will affect your blood pressure. So if someone does take that one, I mean, sometimes science will just, if you're looking at one scientific study and maybe a couple of studies that tried to replicate, what those scientists found, then if you're isolating a nutrient like that and you're going to come out with, that kind of result, like, oh yeah, this specific compound in this root caused these test subjects to have high blood pressure. But there's so many factors there too. And that's why the peer-reviewed studies are so important, because they weed out the inadequate studies where not enough factors were considered, or they didn't isolate factors enough to be able to tell if there was a true cause and effect of something.
Perfect. One last question, and then we're going to wrap up. John is asking, does STP ingredients help with liver repair as well? I know Hepar is for that.
Yeah, if you compare the ingredients between Hepar and Stop, off the bat, I don't know if they have anything in common, kind of thing. But I would definitely, look at the ingredients and consider you might want to take both of them, kind of thing, or just one of them. It's up to you. But knowing the ingredients, that's why I wrote this book. That's why I did all this research for almost 2 years to compile this book for everyone. I wrote it for you guys, I really did, because you need to know what's going on in these drops and why they're so effective, and what to do and what not to do when you're considering all these other supplements, or what to do about your diet, kind of thing. There's a nutrition section in that book as well, not like going in depth in my other book, Nutritional Synergy, but which I just published, and for another reason why I want the public to read my books, because they're written toward restoring the body to normal functioning and balancing all of your body fluids and doing all the repair work that's necessary every single day to maintain your youthful, optimal health vibrancy. Like I said, we're electrical beings, and science has shown that a person who vibrates at a higher frequency, more light energy storage going on in the cells, then they're at a higher level of health. And people whose literally light is diminishing because of all the junk that they're putting in their bodies, then they're not going to be as vibrant. They're not going to be as cognizant, and even intelligence is affected in some way. So I can't get it across enough how important eating properly is, and taking the right supplements, like the Alive supplement that you have in the drops.
And with that, Mary Esther, we're going to thank everybody for being here. I'd like you to take a minute or two as we close out here to tell people where they can get your book that you wrote about APL, as well as some of your other books. From personal experience, folks, I will tell you, I have the hardbound copy of the first one that we can't get anymore and the second one. And they are really, really incredible. You can get them in an online version, a digital version if you'd like, but they are well worth the expenditure. I can't say that enough. They are incredible. She does an incredible job, and she has all the science to back up everything she states in the book. So Mary Esther, close us out tonight with how people can go get your book if they don't have it now. And before I turn it over to her to close out, I'd like to say thank you for joining us on this call. It's once a month. I don't know what the product of the month is going to be next month, but after we get off this call, you actually can log into your back office and buy 2 Stop and get 2 for free. That is only good from tonight until next Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So you don't want to wait, because it's only as long as supplies last. And sometimes we have thousands and thousands of people that go in and order. So you don't want to wait and say, well, maybe. You're going to get 4 boxes for the price of 2. And I will tell you unequivocally, my own story, you cannot live without this product. It is wonderful. So Mary Esther, thank you so much, and tell us about where people can get your book.
Okay, 30 seconds. I'm going to share real quick. Go to my website, holisticchoices.com, dear. Oh, there it is. Okay, so holisticchoices.com, this is what the site looks like. Just go to the link that says books by Mary Esther Gilbert, and you'll see, the list of books that I've written. But the one I'm talking about tonight is the Nutritional Synergy book. And that's my nutritional synergy system that clients have been using to get well and recover from all those things that cause pain and inflammation, kind of thing, and other conditions because of the poor nutritional status of our people, And the other one that we're talking about tonight is the Potent Superfoods for Lifelong True Health. They come in either the soft cover, hard printed copy, or the ebooks. And that's
Perfect.
where you go.
And if you get it, or if you already have it, go read page 119. You will not be disappointed. In fact, go read the whole book. You won't be disappointed. It really is a desk reference manual. Thank you so much, Mary Esther. Again, from APL Nation, we all appreciate you wholeheartedly. We love what you have done as far as research and the book for letting us have the information that we need to not only help our health, but to go out there and help a whole bunch of other people. So until next month, folks, have a blessed and prosperous day, week, and rest of your month. We'll see you all later. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.